Welcome to the explainer. Okay, let's talk about the bubbly, brightly colored world of functional sodas. You've definitely seen these everywhere, right? They're crowding the grocery store aisles, promising a totally guilt-free version of a classic treat. You get the bubbles you love, but they're supposedly packed with benefits. But what are you really drinking when you crack one of these open? All right, so first things first, what are these drinks? This isn't your parents' soda. This is a whole new thing. It's part of a booming category called functional beverages, and believe me, it is completely taking over the beverage aisle. And the core idea? It's pretty simple. Your drink should do more for you than just taste good or quench your thirst. It's got to have a function. You can basically break these drinks down into two main camps. First, you've got your prebiotic sodas. Think Olipop and Poppy. They say they're great for your gut health. Then you have adaptogenic sodas like Kin or Recess. These claim to actually improve your mood and reduce stress. So you can see each one is making a very different set of promises. Okay, so we know what they are, but let's get into the why. Why are they so incredibly popular? Well, the marketing is just incredibly specific and super effective. See, they aren't just selling a drink, they are selling an emotion. This is so smart. The pitch isn't just about health. It's about giving you permission. It's about letting you enjoy something you've been taught to feel guilty about for, decades now? And the way they pull this off is just brilliant. They combine those nostalgic flavors we all remember from being kids with all the modern wellness language we're trying to live by. You know, it's the perfect blend of past indulgence and future health. And this quote right here, it perfectly illustrates the main feeling they're targeting. That little bit of shame a lot of us feel about our habits. They're basically offering you a way to enjoy the thing you like, but without any of the baggage. Okay, the marketing is genius, for sure. But what about the actual product? Do these health claims really hold up when you look closer? Let's get into the science. So let's start with the prebiotic sodas like Olipop. Their biggest selling point? Fiber. It's something most of us don't get nearly enough of, and these drinks I positioned as a super easy fix. And yeah, a single can of Olipop has 9 grams of fiber. The company claims that's a significant amount and that it's great for supporting your digestive health. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Does that added fiber even matter when it's mixed in with sweeteners and sugar? This was the exact question at the heart of a recent class action lawsuit against Poppy. The whole argument was that the sugar in the drink might actually harm gut health, which could potentially cancel out any of the fiber's benefits. You know, experts have this great analogy for it. It's like putting a single piece of lettuce on a giant, greasy burger. Adding one healthy ingredient doesn't just magically make the whole thing healthy. The way you get that ingredient really matters. And this really gets to the heart of the problem, and it's why pretty much every expert out there is still pretty skeptical. A lot of these drinks are classified as supplements, which means they exist in this kind of regulatory gray area. Their specific health claims aren't approved by the FDA, and there just isn't a lot of oversight. The bottom line is there just aren't enough long-term studies to prove the promises they're making on the can. But here's the thing. All that skepticism from experts, it hasn't slowed down sales one bit. Which brings us to the business side of all this. Because beyond the health claims, there is a massive financial incentive at play. And wow, the price difference is just staggering. A 12-pack of Olipop can cost over 4 times as much as a 12-pack of Coke. People are paying a serious premium for those potential benefits. You can see why for these companies, this is basically a gold mine. You've got a product people buy over and over again. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need decades of research. You just have to show up with a really compelling promise, and people are willing to pay for it. So you gotta ask, why is this trend absolutely exploding right now? And why does it feel so American? Well, it really is the perfect storm, isn't it? You've got a culture that's obsessed with the next new drink, from energy drinks to sports drinks. You combine that with a population that's pretty suspicious of old-school soda, and then you throw in this growing sober-curious movement. It's the perfect recipe. And this perfect storm is what's paving the way for that other category we mentioned, adaptogenic drinks. These take it a step further. They claim they can actually change your mood and help you deal with stress using things like ashwagandha. So the marketing for these is really laser-focused on people looking for that sophisticated, non-alcoholic buzz. You know, a way to unwind or be social, but without the hangover. In this right here brings us to the core question about what you're really buying. Is it the adaptogens in the can that are actually making you feel less stressed? Or is it the powerful psychological effect of the ritual itself? You know, that simple act of cracking open a special cold can after a long day and just telling yourself you're doing something good?
Because at the end of the day, a lot of us are buying these based on a vibe, right? And on the belief, the blind faith, really, that this new habit is healthier than an old one we're trying to get rid of. The real power of these drinks might have less to do with the ingredients and more to do with the feeling of control and self-care they give us.
So that leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? In this constant search for products that are better for us, how do we learn to separate the real, actual benefits from just a really beautifully packaged feeling? Maybe the most important function isn't what's in the can at all, but our own critical thinking.